Hey guys, welcome back to the Ancient Critics podcast. This is part of our Absolutism series, and today we're going to talk about Spain.
Yes, that's right. We're talking about Spain. Specifically, King Philip II, who is a well-known absolute monarch in European history. Kyung, I'll give it to you to start us off.
Okay, so let me talk about Philip II's background. Philip II was born on May 21st in 1527 in Valladolid, Spain. He was the son of Charles V, the Holy Roman Emperor, and Isabella of Portugal. So he grew up in a very powerful royal family. Later, he became the King of Spain from 1556 to 1598, and he also ruled Portugal from 1580 to 1598, where people knew him as Philip I. Philip II was part of the Habsburg dynasty, one of the most important ruling families in Europe. He strongly believed in the divine right of kings, meaning he thought God chose him to rule Spain. Philip II spent much of his life building up his power and strengthening his empire. Eventually, he died on September 13, 1598, in El Escorial, the large palace and monastery that he built himself. Philip II also had an important family life, and he was married 4 times. His first marriage was in 1543 to his cousin Maria of Portugal. Sadly, she passed away in 1545 after giving birth to their son, Don Carlos. Then in 1554, Philip married Mary I of England. Because of this marriage, he became the joint ruler of England. However, their marriage didn't produce any children, and Mary died in 1558. Philip's third marriage was in 1559 to Elizabeth of Valois, the daughter of Henry II of France. This marriage was actually part of a peace agreement called the Peace of Cambresis, which helped end wars between Spain and France for a while. Elizabeth and Philip had 2 daughters together, and they named them Isabella Clara Eugenia and Catherine Macalla Elizabeth Macalla. Elizabeth died in 1568. In 1570, Philip married his 4th wife, Anna of Austria, who was also his cousin and the daughter of Emperor Maximilian II. She died in 1580, but their son, who survived, later became King Philip III of Spain.
Yeah, so Philip's background is pretty cool, but Philip does not play the entire part for absolutism in Europe specifically. So let's talk about the history. So absolutism rose under Catholic monarchs, including people known as Isabella I of Castile and Ferdinand II of Aragon. They both united their kingdoms through marriage, which happened in the 1400s. So both Isabella and Ferdinand, together they centralized power, weakened the nobles, and they did create a stronger royal government that did not centralize around the nobles.
They were actually a dual monarchy too.
Yes.
Which was pretty cool.
So meaning that they didn't want all the power, like they wanted all the power, so like they didn't want the nobles to make all the decisions. And when the 1500s went into play, so the Habsburgs became a large influence on the Spanish Empire as well. So rulers like Charles V and Philip II came to be, and when they were ruling, Spain became a global superpower.
Now there is one thing he's well known for, and it's the Spanish Armada. He led his Spanish Navy in the religious war against England because it was Protestant at the time, and he tried to make England Catholic, but the English ended up defeating him, which led to the Spanish Armada being a failure and him losing a lot of naval power in his navy.
Honestly, I think that absolutism was working for a period of time, but then really, if you want a firm government, you need the nobles.
I think he needs support of the people as well.
Yeah.
Now, he has he used the Spanish Inquisition, which was a religious court system created in 1478 by King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella back then, to enforce Catholic unity in Spain by searching for and investigating and punishing people accused of practicing other religions in secret. He took advantage of this as like a massive tool of control, which allowed him to gain a lot of, how do I say this, absolute power over Spain and Iberia in general. It became a very powerful tool of control, targeting groups like Jews, Muslims, and later Protestants. He had a very big social and political impact for centuries after his rule. And under his rule, many new colonies were established, especially in the Americas, bringing him and Spain a lot of wealth.
Alright, so we've been talking about absolutism for a while, its pros and cons, but what do you think about absolutism so far?
It seems like it has a lot of potential, but at the same time there's like drawbacks regarding morality and ethics and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Which kind of makes it pretty controversial, I guess.
Yes, there can be many takes on it, like why it was good, why it was bad, but I would say that it was mostly bad because only the king and the queen had a say in what was happening to the country. Like, you need nobles and you need support, so like, yeah, for a firm government.
The population had no say in any affairs whatsoever during absolutism, so.
Alright, so now let's talk about the limits of absolutism. So, the potential limits and problems of absolutism in Spain were expensive wars, specifically those against England, the Netherlands, and France. They drained money quickly. Because they were near the same power, they would all spend a large amount of money trying to defeat each other, and it would just keep going and going and going. So, absolutism also brought inflation of too much silver. Silver was being made, and the inflation went up like crazy.
Spain had a lot of silver, like ores and mines and deposits in their territory. And so they just mined a lot of them, and then too much entered the economy, which caused inflation. And also the other countries in Europe, the opposing powers, they were all gaining power, to which Spain needed money to maintain their power and not let them surpass them.
Yeah, also a limit in absolutism in Spain was revolt in some religions. Meaning that, absolutism, basically, you're kind of guided in which religion you could believe in, right? So, yeah, that was pretty hard if there was, different religions presented. Strong local traditions made total control very difficult to manage. That kind of keys into the religion aspect of it as well.
Yeah, and especially because how he ruled when the Protestant Reformation was, beginning or already happening. He had to limit the Protestant ideas coming into Spain because he wanted Spain to be Catholic, like how it once was.
Yeah.
So now we're moving on to the decline of absolutism. Later, the kings after Philip II were weaker and less effective. They weren't that good at maintaining control over the country. They lost a lot of territory and influence to France and England. Like as we mentioned earlier, they were becoming more powerful and Spain just couldn't keep up.
Yeah.
And the War of Spanish Succession from 1701 to 1714 led to the Bourbon dynasty, which tried to modernize the state, but absolutism was never strong, as in France.
Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of Ancient Critics Podcast. Make sure to tune in for another episode of Absolutism. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next video.